And tell us about visual brand. What are some cues that make our brain perceive it as a premium versus commodity? I guess this podcast is very much on the premium end. Just kidding.
So when it comes to a visual brand, there are um, a couple of things that our brains pick up on and say, wow, this is well done. Time and effort was put into this. This company runs with excellence. And two of those things would be consistency and intentionality. So I like to say that, a lot of brands do a decent job at consistency. They may show up the same everywhere, but how they're showing up may not mean anything. There may not be any reason behind the look, the feel, the colors, even the words that they're using in their marketing materials. And so your brain perceives that as scattered. And scattered is not something we are drawn to as like, ooh, yeah, give me that. It's clearly the best.
Mm.
So, great brands always have a reason. Design styles can be wildly different. And I know most people would hear that question of what does a brand perceive as, what does your eye perceive something as premium versus a commodity? And you think, well, if they use enough gold metallics, well, if they use enough marble, if they use enough um, this. But in reality, it could look like graffiti or it could look like the Ritz. But if it doesn't have meaning behind it and it's not communicating a clear story, if it's not intentional, it will not be perceived as premium.
Right. And how can someone know if leveling up their visual brand is something they should be trying to do to boost their business?
Well, they can ask themselves a few questions about what is standing in between them and their goals right now. So, if they are um, confident that the service they offer is really excellent, but it doesn't feel like the amount of people who know about it or the amount of people who are rushing out to pay them for that service is equal to the quality of the service they're providing, it's a very good chance they have a branding problem because their perceptions of the value is not aligned with the actual value they're offering. Or they can ask themselves if they're currently charging what they feel like they're worth. And if they're not, if they're delivering something amazing again and they're stuck undercharging, there's a very good chance that the reason they have to undercharge is because their audience does not perceive their worth. So their brand is not doing its job to visually validate their value to the people they want to work with the most. If they are on sales calls all the time and they're getting people on the calls, but then they are stuck explaining till they're blue in the face why you should work with them and why you're worth it for a truly great service, but they're having to over explain and oversell it, then their brand is not carrying its weight to
Mm.
help create that desire and that confidence and trust in their product ahead of time. And so, those are three questions they can start with. If you ask yourself any of those and those seem to be your stuck points, there's a very good chance you have a branding problem and it's time to level up.
Yes, I think a lot of people get into that trap. There's a certain sort of confident assuredness with certain brands, and they don't really need to, push the sale. I guess you just assume that they know what they're doing. You also talk about visual brand positioning. What does this mean, and how does it apply to personal brands? Not just products.
Well, let's